happens when you have experienced maybe covert toxicity? Because I think you brought up a good point, right? It's easier for us to see violence when it's physical, but what happens when it's behind your back, when it's verbal violence? And reflecting on the postdoc, what do I need to release in regards to the body keeping the score? I even talked to a sis who's also in the field of like counseling and social work. I was like, oh, I think that person was trying to bully me. And we like went through the attributes of like what makes an experience, a bullying experience. It's like, oh, differentiation of power. Okay, like, check. Like she went through like the checklist and she was like, yes, unfortunately, I think that's what you've experienced, right? So like what happens when you have experienced maybe covert toxicity versus overt? Because I think you brought up a good point, right? It's easier for us to see violence when it's physical, but what happens when it's behind your back, when it's verbal violence? Like, how do you approach that? Because I think a lot of the emotional work and the emotional healing, it can feel as though it takes a deeper investment, especially if you have to unearth it. Like if someone hits you, oh, you can feel that hit. Like it's an instant like, whoo, I just felt that attack, right? But what happens when they use their position of power in order to try to undermine your work and your ethics? That's something definitely to ask yourself if you have experienced that type of trauma, unfortunately. And I'm reminded of something someone told me. Basically, sometimes we repeat how we were trained, how we were mentored, how we were advised, right? So sometimes we may not even realize that we're replicating systems that are unhealthy because that's all we know. And when someone confronts you about it, it's like, oh no, I'm doing it right because it's being upheld. Like no one is challenging this, right? And I think that's something that's difficult to unearth. You saying you having to unpack the trauma, ask yourself, if you are in this space with this person or this person, how is your body responding? Because for me, when knowing I had to address the situation, the bullying situation, I said, oh, my body is feeling inflamed. Like this relationship is not healthy. And I refuse to develop any type of illness because I hold on to this, because I participate in self-silence, because you are at a different rank than I am. So in order for my body not to keep the score, it was being upfront and saying, hey, this is what you did.